Hello. This is my Proxmox server. I will use it instead of my ISP router by creating an OPNsense virtual machine. To do this, I added a new network interface. The old network interface is used to connect to devices on the local network such as computers, phones, or TVs. It is called LAN. The new interface connects to the service provider. It is called WAN. A router has a minimum of 2 network interfaces. There are 7 steps to install and configure OPNsense on Proxmox. Using OPNsense instead of ISP router. Proxmox IP address. Open a browser and log into Proxmox. Username. Password. Of course, I can't tell you the password. Login successful. These are my network interfaces. We will discuss them later. Step 1. Download OPNsense from the home page. This step is quite simple. You just open your browser, search for OPNsense and download it from the home page. Free, open source. A compressed file was successfully downloaded. You extract it with software called 7-zip. Extract to ISO file. This is the file after extraction. Step 2. Upload the extracted file to Proxmox. Local. ISO images. Upload. Browse to the folder where the extracted file is saved. Open. Size is approximately 2 GB. Upload. Task OK. File uploaded successfully. Create a new virtual machine. A virtual router PC. But before creating the virtual machine, I set up the network on Proxmox. VMBR0. I use this interface to connect to devices on the local network such as computers, phones or TVs. It is called LAN. Next is the WAN interface. It connects to the Internet Service Provider. Connect your local network to the outside world. Create a new bridge interface. Bridge ports. Enter the name of the network interface used as a port 1. ENP3S0. Comment. 1. Do not assign an IP address to this interface. I write down the information about the network interfaces because they are used to set up the interfaces on OPNsense. At each different step, they are assigned different names. LAN, VMBR1, ENP3S0, 1. Save. Apply configuration. Next, create a new virtual machine. Name. OPNsense. ISO image. OPNsense ISO. QEMU agent. Enable. Disks. CPU. 2 cores. Type. Scroll down to the end of the list. Host. Next. Memory. 4 gigabytes. Next. Bridge. VMBR0. LAN. I add the WAN interface in the next step. Disable firewall. Finish. A new virtual machine has been created. The virtual machine only has one network interface, so I add a new interface. Network device. VMBR1. Disable firewall. The virtual machine has 2 network devices. One is LAN, and one is WAN. Set boot order. Same as on a physical computer. Boot order. Drag and drop to change the boot order. Boot from installer. Disable network boot. OK. Install OPNsense. Virtual machine. Console. Start now. Wait for the installation environment to initialize. Wait until the login screen appears. Login. Installer. Password. OPNsense. Continue. Install ZFS. Stripe. Use spaces to select the hard drive. OK. Yes. It takes a few minutes to complete the installation. Complete install. OK. Power down system. This virtual machine is not yet usable because some changes still need to be made. Remove installer. CD/DVD. Remove. Yes. Ensure the virtual machine boots from the hard drive where OPNsense was just installed. To ensure correct assignment for network interfaces on Ethernet ports, I do the following. Write down the physical address of each network interface. The MAC address of the LAN interface. And the MAC address of the WAN interface. I use this information to assign the interfaces. Virtual machine. Console. Start now. Login. Admin. Password. OPNsense. Incorrect username. Root. OPNsense. Enter 1. Enter. No. No VLAN. Enter the WAN interface name. I define the physical interface using the MAC address. Because the interface name on OPNsense is different from on Proxmox, write down the name assigned by OPNsense to the physical ports. LAN, VTNet 0, WAN, VTNet 1, enter the WAN interface name. VTNet 1, LAN, VTNet 0. Enter. Yes. Thus I have ensured that I have assigned the correct network interface as I want. To use OPNsense as an ISP router, I do the following. Set up bridge mode on the ISP router. Enter 5 to turn off the virtual machine. Log into the ISP router. Next is how to set up on my ISP router. Your ISP router may have a different setup method in bridge mode. Username, password, interface setup, PPPOE. Write down PPPOE username and PPPOE password to set up on OPNsense. The password is confidential, I cannot tell you. Bridge mode. Save. LAN. Disable DHCP. Save. Devices in my house are assigned IP addresses from OPNsense instead of the ISP router. Create a group including the WAN bridge interface and the Ethernet port. Connect that Ethernet port on the ISP router to the OPNsense WAN interface. pod.cpl. Because I have disabled the DHCP server, I set a static IP address for this computer. Otherwise, it loses connection to Proxmox. Set a static IP address on the Ethernet port. Use an IP address in the same subnet as Proxmox. DNS address. Later, when setting up the DHCP server on OPNsense, I will set a dynamic IP address on this computer. Refresh browser. Connection successful. OPNsense virtual machine. Wait for startup. LAN IP address. This is the default IP address of OPNsense. It's different from my ISP router's IP address, so I changed it. To log into OPNsense using a browser, I changed the static IP address on this computer. Use an IP address on the same subnet as OPNsense. Log in using a browser. Admin. OPNsense. Incorrect username. Username is root, not admin. OPNsense. Login. Change the LAN IP address to match my ISP router. If your IP address is the same, skip this step. IPv4 address. Because I set up bridge mode and disabled the DHCP server on the ISP router, I'm not worried about conflicts occurring on the local network. Change the static IP address on this computer. The computer, Proxmox, and OPNsense are on the same subnet. Log into OPNsense using the new IP address. Root. Password. OPNsense. On the local network I don't have a DHCP server, so I'm using OPNsense to assign IP addresses. DHCP. DHCP range. This is the default setting and is not suitable for my local network, so I changed it as follows. Up to 100 different devices can be assigned IP addresses. I checked the results by setting this computer to dynamic IP address mode. Dynamic mode. Status. It has been assigned an IP address from the DHCP server on OPNsense. LAN setup complete. Next I set up the WAN interface. 1. Disable IPv4. Disable IPv6. Save. Apply changes. Set up dialing. Devices. Point-to-point. Add. Link type. PO. Link interface. MAC address. I checked the notes to make sure I selected the correct physical port. VTnet1. Username. PO username. Password. Secret, cannot tell you. Save. This is the newly created interface. Add. Save. Opt1. Description. PO. Enable interface. Save. Apply changes. Check connection status. Lobby. Dashboard. This is the public IP address. It's good to see it. Job done completed. The above is how to use OPNsense on Proxmox as an ISP router. Thank you for watching. I tested my internet connection using the ping command and measured the speed. Login. Root. OPNsense. This is the public IP address assigned to OPNsense.